Good morning, everybody. Justin Volrath here. I'm excited for another Toolbox Tuesday. Not too often I get to lead one, so I'm sorry you got to listen to my boring voice today, and hopefully I won't put you to sleep. But this is obviously a big one for us. We're going to handle this rollout a lot differently than we have in others, which I'll kind of review here. But payroll has been a product that's we've been looking at since day one. As with all of our products, we're super particular. At least I am, anyways. And I think the rest of the team is too, definitely. But we've killed a lot of vendors that have come along promising us different things and looked at stuff that just didn't make sense. Wasn't the right partnership for us. I want to make sure that each of you, when you take our products out into the field and you present them, that they're well tested out, that we've vetted them out, and we've made sure that it's something that all of us can be proud to offer, and all of us can be proud to present and put the Pay Compass name behind, and more importantly, your name behind. You're the person in the community, you're the person who is there in front of the customer, you're the one who has to take the phone calls when things are going wrong, and so it's your reputation at stake. I know that. I take that very, very seriously. And I want to make sure that our products are something that will, support your reputation and grow your reputation and make it that much stronger, and obviously be a great product. So how we're going to be rolling out this product is today is going to be just kind of a very informal discussion about payroll. This will be one of the few sessions that we will not have on our public YouTube page, because we're going to dive into pricing. That's something we don't normally do on these sessions. We normally share it later, but since this is kind of a new concept, a new type of product for many of you, we're going to dive into pricing later on in this call. We're going to have, I'm sure, quite a few Q&As and diving into things. But today is meant to be just a really high level overview of payroll. The payroll offering, our partnership. That it's going to be a lot of me talking, and then obviously I'll have some graphics and stuff to share as well. But my goal here is just to help those, for those of you who are really familiar with payroll, some of this might be repeat. For those of you that are not, hopefully this will help you better understand why we care about payroll, and take it from there. So without further ado, our payroll products, like I said before, is something we've been searching for the right partner for a while. We looked at many different vendors, many different partners. About 2 years ago, we started chatting with ADP. And ADP is obviously one of the largest payroll companies in the nation, if not the largest. And they really had a tremendous product offering. They came to us with some different offerings and different choices, but there was a little bit of a misalignment in some of the ways they wanted to go to market and some of the ways they wanted to support us versus how we wanted to go to market, how we wanted to make sure we were supported. And so that kind of fizzled out a couple of years ago. We continued looking at different options. We almost pulled the trigger on multiple options. Matter of fact, we did sign up with one player that has a good product, but really limited us on how much margin you could make, which to me is a very important thing. I want you to have the ability to mark the product up as much as you want to without somebody being able to Google a number and say, hey, well, they sell this direct for something else. So we really needed somebody that supported our business model, looked at our business model the same way we did, and didn't limit us. So really just out of the blue, over the last probably 6 months, ADP came back to the table in a really strong way. And ADP came back to us in a way that really makes us a very unique player in this space. So we are now an ADP franchise. Many times people refer to it as a reseller, but technically it's called a franchise. And there's only 15 of those in the nation. It's something that we're really, I guess, surprised by and very, honored to have that opportunity to work with them on. There's a lot of things a lot of responsibilities that fall upon us and fall upon this team, which is part of why we wanted to make sure that we rolled out correctly. But at the end of the day, we get the full breadth, the full power, the full scope of all ADP products. And I mean, from your standard payroll through your HR, your employee handbooks, your labor law posters, everything that you have available, all of their tools, all their systems, everything that that they have available, and you see them selling, you maybe competed against in the past. We now have it available under the Pay Compass name. So super pumped about that, super excited about that. We are ready to roll now. We can actively board merchants now. And we will slowly get better and better at this as we go. So couple other quick things I want to go over before we dive into some of the actual meat and potatoes of this is this will be a product that is billed by Pay Compass. So we will have invoicing that will be created in alignment with our cost schedule, which we'll show you here in a little bit. But this will be something ADP bills us, we bill the customer. So some of our products we already do that with now, so you're already familiar with it, but just to give you a heads up there. Secondly is we're going to be coming up with a better name as well. I don't want to say better name, but a product name for this. Just like we have PayVault and we have Navigo and we have True North. We feel strongly that kind of our key products, kind of our I don't know what I'd say, but our key products there need to have that product name to it. So we're working on that already. We'll be working on a new product name for the payroll product. It'll be something that will still line up, still represent that as payroll, just like we have with like PayVault and True North, but something that will be able to stand alone on its own. So that if somebody wants to go out and sell this independently, we have people on this call here that are wanting to build their own brand. We have people that want to be able to do that. Then you have the ability to do that without necessarily having to be tied to the Pay Compass name. For those that don't want to, hey, it'll still be the same product, same support. Nothing changes there, obviously, but we're just gonna have a product name tied to it. So those are those two quick things there as well. And then first one, obviously is we're learning along with you guys. So we are diving into this head first. We are investing a lot of resources into this to make sure that we're ready to go. We're actually right now trying to hire a full-time payroll, kind of a product manager for here in the office. So we're trying to make sure that you're supported as deeply as you possibly can. I have a lot of experience in selling payroll. We have people on this call that do as well that we'll lean upon for some resources or some experience on certain things. And obviously the ADP team here is also, they're located here locally in Phoenix, and they are here to support us as well, which is a unique part of this partnership. And one of the reasons why we love this partnership is it's not just a, here you go, here's the product, go sell it, don't call us, which we heard from many others, unfortunately. Instead, it's a product, it's a partnership that is built on how can we help you sell more deals. They really truly look at it as the more payroll deals that are sold, whether it's sold through them or it's sold through us, benefits the partnership and benefits their numbers. So kind of unprecedented in terms of a reseller partnership where normally the reseller is responsible for everything and you only really call the parent company, the franchisor, I guess you would say. You'd only call the franchisor when things really get out of hand and you really need some help. But they've been great. They want us to call in everything. They want to support us. They're going to help us with demos in the beginning until we get things kind of figured out on that regard. We get better at it. We get stronger at it. There's a lot of support that's going to be happening from their side as we build this out. So, kind of the crawl, walk, run approach. I think we're ready. We're definitely ready to offer it. It's definitely ready to go. Obviously, ADP knows what the hell they're doing, and they're going to be they're going to be doing all the heavy lifting on it. We're just going to be basically moving paperwork around and filling things out from there. So, we'll take it from there. So, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here real quick and pull something else up. And feel free, guys, as we go through this. I mean, if you want to, if you want to ask any questions, chat, text, email. Again, I have everything here in front of me. Feel free to jump in and do that for sure.
Hey, Jason, Justin, it's Mitch.
Yes, Mitch.
You mentioned earlier about people who, don't want to be tied to the PayCompass name and are building our own brand. This collateral, the ADP collateral that you develop, will you develop stuff like that where we can put our name and, company name and stuff on it? Or is this something we're gonna have to do on our own?
No, that's a great question. Everything you see here now, and I'll probably say this 10 times as we go through there, just because it's important to me, is you guys know that, anyone that's known me longer than a couple months knows that my goal is to create as much of a PayCompass experience as possible. I want it to be looked at as PayCompass, that this is our payroll, this is our pay, our gateway, our process application, everything we're trying to do. That's really been my goal for much of this year. And we're doing a good job with it. And by the end of the year, most of our products and solutions will be fully, private labeled PayCompass experience. So everything you see as I go through here, where you see the ADP name, either that document or something, related to that document, will be labeled with the PayCompass name. For those partners, to answer your question, Mitch, yes, those partners that are wanting to build their own brand name, absolutely, we'll be able to white label. We won't be able to white label everything for you. We'll be able to white label collateral, like sales collateral like this, that's on your screen right now. We'd be able to white label those sort of things. But in terms of the actual portal itself, that will be the PayCompass name on there. That'll be the only place where that we can't change that part of it. Where a merchant would log in, enter in their own hours and things like that. But for everything else, we'll definitely be able to white label it for the marketing experience. That makes sense? I'd say it does. Thanks, Mitch. All right, so this is just a quick. Again, for some of you, this is going to be very basic. For some of you, this is going to be potentially new, but I want to start by talking about even why payroll. There's probably I'm sure there's some of you out there like, why are we even talking about payroll? I mean, we sell credit card processing. What does that have to do with it? Payroll has meant for many years been linked. In the payment processing industry. It really started, quite a few years ago. Heartland did a great job of creating a entire new company and entire structure around the payroll product. It was kind of a side product for many years, kind of not something that got all the attention. And then over time, it became more and more serious. Started hiring reps that were dedicated just to that. And many companies have really followed that suit, and it's become something that's really tied in because you're working with the business owner in ways that they move money. You probably all heard me say this before on some of our calls, is that we really want to be, we're a financial services company. Yes, we primarily help with merchant services and credit card processing, but at the end of the day, we're a financial services company, and we help our customers move money. We through credit card processing, through ACH, through gift cards. And then also payroll is another big one. This is really a product that as you start talking with your merchants, you'll find out people don't normally switch as quickly on payroll as they do credit card processing, because there's a little more sensitivity around it, right? If you mess up my deposit, it messes up my deposit as a business owner. You mess up my payroll, geez, oh, peas, you just messed up, all my employees, and I got a bunch of pissed off people that aren't going to show up tomorrow. So you will see that it's a different sales cycle. For those of you experienced with it, maybe we can talk about that later as we get into there, or in future calls, we start talking about how sales process of this goes. We're probably going to have 2 or 3 calls over the next month just on payroll and deeper parts of payroll. But it is definitely a little different of a sales process, but it's an important sales process. It is something that once you get somebody signed on for payroll and they're with you for credit card processing and payroll, you start watching your attrition numbers cut in half. What we saw was attrition numbers that went from 20%, and I'm speaking when I was at, as an executive at Heartland and beyond, we saw attrition numbers go from 20 to 25% down in the single digits when you looked at merchants that had credit card processing and payroll. When they're tied together with the same company, there's the connectivity. There's obviously a deepened relationship between the merchant and the company, the merchant and the sales rep. So it's an important product to offer. And if you're not fully comfortable with it, continue to lean upon us. We'll help you with it. We'll help walk you through that as we have that payroll product expert on board. They will continue to do the same thing as well. We're here to support you on it. There's a lot of moving parts, but when you really break it down, just like it looks from the outside of credit card processing, it's a lot simpler than it looks. And you don't have to worry about things like, what point of sale are they using? What credit card terminal are they using? Things like that. It can be much, much simpler. And I will also say, I neglected to say this at the beginning is, I don't want to hide the fact that this is ADP. I want to shout that from the rooftops personally. I see no reason for us to hide that. I think that is something that you should definitely make sure people know. And that, while this is our payroll, this payroll product, it's all powered by ADP. It runs on the ADP platform. There is a stability to ADP. There is a massive, respect of the ADP product and the ADP system. Now, sometimes you hear a lot of bad things about ADP sales processes and pressures and kind of the rotating wheel of salespeople that go in and out of some of those, larger payroll companies. Very similar to what you hear in credit card processing, right? I signed up with this guy and now he's not returning my calls and I can't get a hold of him and I don't know what to do. And, those sort of things. That can be very similar in the payroll world. They hire a lot of people straight out of college and, they sign up a handful of people and they don't make it. So you're going to run into a lot of that. But the ADP product itself, the ADP company, highly, highly respected, obviously one of the largest in the nation. Something I would continue to brag and talk about as you spread the word on this. So this quick infographic is just it's what's called kind of from hire to fire, hire to retire, not fire, hire to retire. It just kind of gives a quick overview of everything that we can help with in terms of the whole ADP product. And again, today, guys, we're not going to dive deep into each of these, and that's why I wanted you to see how much there is here to really talk about and dive into for those that want to get deep into it. There's a lot. We're not going to do that today. As we get into further calls, we're going to dive deeper into those subjects. For those that want to dive deeper into it, we'll start doing that. Obviously, our payroll manager will as well. But this kind of gives you an overview. So when we really start from the top left there, finding and hiring employees, there's actually a connection with ZipRecruiter and a connectivity there that allows them to utilize their ADP portal, have candidates directly inbound into that portal. There's a fee. There's not a fee tied with it, but if they sign up with ZipRecruiter, then there's actually some revenue share that comes back on that. So there's a connectivity with ZipRecruiter that allows them to start on that kind of, finding and hiring employee side of it. Obviously, retaining employees, that's not something I think we're probably going to get deep into, but there is an entire retaining and training and development, manager coaching and assessments profile that's available. Some of these are available on the standard pricing. Some of these are going to take the HR functionality, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But these are all the things that are available. Obviously, payroll and tax right here, the top right one is your standard one. As you see right here, this is a fact I love to throw out there. 1 in 6 U.S. workers are paid by ADP. It gives you an idea how large in scale they are, how much is flowing through them. Matter of fact, you hear a lot of times about the jobs reports and payroll reports that you'll hear them on the national news. things that are quoted, those are ADP numbers that are used because they touch so much of the demographics across the country that they're able to give some really good stats and some really good information on jobs reports and payroll reports. So obviously standard stuff there, payroll reports, tax reports, tax filings. Obviously that's the sort of stuff that is, you know, you got to do that right. That's your base to everything. Next up there, straight below that, is pay cards. You know, there's a lot of unbanked employees out there. There are a lot of people that just don't have a bank account. You can't send, you can't do direct deposit them because they just don't have a bank account. So pay cards are available as well. That's something that I think people overlook the big benefit of that. There's a huge benefit in that part of it. Their Visa, MasterCard cards, they're available to our customers as well. And in addition to that, also one of the things that isn't mentioned on here, along with those pay cards, is paper checks as well, which we'll get into here shortly. There's a cost associated with it, but it's not horrible. To where if somebody still wants paper checks, here, you know, we can do those as well for them. So we don't want to tell people no. We want to have that Pay Compass toolbox be as full as possible and have all the different options. Next up to the left there, we've got kind of the magnifying glasses, HR and compliance, just, you know, all the different things that you need to run your business. Obviously, there is a lot of, you know, litigious people out there. There's a lot of rules and regulations in different states that you need to make sure that you're complying to as a business owner. ADP is, as an entire large department, dedicated to making sure that your employee handbook is up to speed with, you know, the federal laws as well as your state and local regulatory regulations as well. So making sure that, you know, you have everything up to date as laws change, making sure you have updated things as well. Because, you know, obviously it's easy, I don't say easy, but you can go through and create a worker's employee handbook. There are online services that do that. But if the law changes 5 months down the road and you don't update it, now you're out of compliance. So making sure you have that, and then making sure you have a place to go to for if you have questions. You know, hey, I've got an 800 number I call. I just caught a guy, you know, smoking weed out of the back. It's against our policy. What do I do? What's the next steps? How do I do this? I'm not sure. Things like that you know, allow you to you know, run your business without having to be the HR and legal expert, but know that you've got somebody to lean upon without having to have a full-time staff member. Next up to the left there, kind of the window looking thing is benefits. So ADP does not necessarily offer benefits, but has the connectivity to the benefits offerings. So we will have the ability to say, hey, we can connect to these different benefit companies, whether it be workers' comp, whether it be health insurance. There's lots of different ones out there that allow you to have those directly connected into your ADP portal, and directly connected then for the merchants to be able to use and to offer to their customer or to their employees, and then allows their employees to have self-service and allows them to be able to go into their own portal or their own app as well and see everything that's available to them, see their offerings, those sort of things. So especially on the workers' comp side, I think there's some tremendous benefits to the connectivity there. Next up to the left, there's time tracking and scheduling. Pretty straightforward there, but there is entire structures there. If somebody doesn't want to have full-scale, you know, timekeeping systems, simplistic, easy timekeeping systems, and everything in between, honestly, are available. And have connectivity with the ADP system so that there's not somebody saying, well, I think you started at 10 o'clock, but instead having it automatically knows when the person logged in or when the person punched in, and then allowing that to automatically flow into the payroll product and calculate the hours automatically. So the bottom one, the next two ones, I mean, we're not going to dive too deep into those. Those are way down the road, but kind of performance reviews, compensation reviews, there's entire structures in there on compensation, national compensation reports. So let's say you're getting ready to hire somebody, you say, man, I want to hire, you know, a new foreman for, you know, this job, or you have to take this specific title. You can look on there, and there are compensation reports that show you that nationwide concrete foremen make this much money. You're trying to kind of figure out, okay, in my state, what's the average person make for this job title? So I know that the job I'm posting out there is going to be competitive. They have that national data, that state level data to be able to share that as well. So I think that could be a really strong one. That's something that's, you know, available for free. It's just part of the reports. Same thing with analytics, HR, talent data, things like that, where you can dive deep into analytics, benchmarking, performance reviews, that sort of stuff. The last two are really, you know, two of my favorite. I'd say actually the next one, tax credits and incentives, the one with kind of the arrow pointing down. That is my favorite, and I think that is where one of the biggest benefits of payroll, a large scale payroll company like ADP really brings to the table, is the ability to look at all the available tax credits. Literally, they have this, you know, ADP. We saw the layout of it. There's literally a room full of nerds that get engaged with the customers as new customers come in. We utilize their services to analyze customers and say, hey, they would actually probably qualify for this tax credit. It could be WOTC tax credits, which stands for Work Opportunity Tax Credit, which allows you to get tax credits back as an employer if you hire people that came from the military or you hire people that had come from prison. There's a bunch of different tax credits available that are available to people there. There's some really big ones out there in the WOTC level, as well as you know, research and development tax credits, especially right now with the big spending bill that just, you know, went out. There's a ton of R&D tax credits that I think people are thinking, oh, these are only going to large corporations, but they're not. There's a lot of these tax credits that are available to some of these small companies that invest money in research and development and rollouts of new products. So there's a lot of opportunity there. And then the one that's hot right now that I know some people have asked about, and this now gives us the ability to, and we're going to be talking more about this over the coming weeks and give you the exact how to do it, execute it on it, is the ERTC, the Employer Retention Tax Credit. You know, we've looked at many different companies out there that are offering the ERTC, and many of them are fly-by-night companies. They're companies that were doing something completely different before. They just saw an opportunity, jumped on the ERTC bandwagon. There's a lack of communication, lack of professionalism. You don't really know what's going on. You know, we're going to learn more about this the next week or two. We're going to have a whole training session on that, whether it be a Tuesday call or maybe something different where we talk deeper into that. But ADP has an entire full availability on the ERTC as well that benefits our customers, as well as you get a nice commission out of it. So there's some really big benefits right now today for your customers, as well as, you know, when that ERTC finally goes away, ongoing tax credits like WOTC, R&D, tip tax credits, stuff like that. And then last but not least is retirement programs, 401k programs. It's kind of that whole, hey, let me start to help you from, you know, beginning to end here is you know, 401k programs, whether you want to integrate with, you know, outstanding 401k programs, ones that are already there, you know, your existing company, your existing provider, which likely has an integration in with ADP, or you want ADP to be your plan sponsor and help pick and monitor things and help run it out there. They offer both as well. And again, we'll have full accessibility to all those options. So quick run over, guys. Again, my goal of this is not to dive deep into one particular thing. We're still going to pull up the pricing and talk about it and kind of onboarding stuff. But any questions on this part before we go on?
Hello.
Hey there.
Hey, would I assume that means we're dealing with the biggest payroll company in the United States, they're going to have the most connections with POS systems?
I would say so. That's a pretty fair assumption. Yeah.
Are we going to be able to do they have the offering of same-day payrolls?
Yeah. I mean, yes, that is an option. I wouldn't say that's something that is, there's some cost to it, you know. You can do it through the pay cards is what he's talking about. We'll find out more details on that later, but you can do it through the pay cards to where you could fund it immediately. So it'll only be people that have the pay cards to be able to be funded immediately. But yeah, that is a potential option.
Cool thing about those pay cards is a lot of employers and with their employees use those for a savings account, because you can split your paycheck between the regular paycheck that goes into your checking account and a certain amount going onto the pay card. And I found that to be real advantageous over the years.
Right. It's also, I mean, you know, in the past, we sold a lot of pay cards when we were at Heartland. It was a big benefit that we utilized. And there was also a self-esteem builder there for it as well. You mute yourself there, Dad?
Yep.
A lot of background
Oh,
noise
yeah.
there.
Sorry.
There's also self-esteem builder for people. I mean, you know, a lot of times these are workers that have never been able to qualify for a Visa or MasterCard. All of a sudden you give them a pay card that has a Visa or MasterCard logo on it. Now they can go down the street to Walgreens and use their credit card or their debit card. You know, it's a debit card, but there's some really cool benefits in those pay cards that I think often get overlooked for sure.
Hey, Justin, how do we handle prospective clients that are currently with ADP?
Ooh, that's a good question. Jason, why do you gotta ask those hard ones like that? I'll ask that one. I haven't asked that one. I'll find out and double check that. I think we could, honestly, I think we could switch them. I don't think there'd be any restriction there. But I will double check that. Good question. All right, well, I'm gonna jump here real quick, stop sharing here, and I'm gonna show you real fast.
Hey, Justin.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you can switch them.
Okay, there you go. Mitch knows. I
know
would assume we could, but I want to double check that.
And a lot of times at much better pricing than they already have.
I'm sure of that. Definitely.
Yeah, ADP is very incestuous that way.
Hey, Justin, if we walk into a place and there's another ADP rep pitching it and then we go in and pitch it,
yeah,
how do we handle that?
It's fine. We're our own thing. We're not, I mean, you know, while this is, you know, ADP is the powered in the background, we're the franchise. So with franchisees, so there's nothing we have to disengage from.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so this is, again, and this stuff, you know, is going to continue to be modified and changed to have the Pay Compass name on it. We're still working through some of those. But I just want to give you an idea here. You know, there's not a lot of stuff that has to be gathered to get started on this. We have a very simple sign up form, you know, very simple application that needs to be filled out that just gives us some of this information. The goal being to make it simple and easy for you and for the merchant as well. It will be one of our next products that we'll roll out and have on, you know, next week. We're going to be, you know, a week from today, we're going to be, you know, talking about our new enrollment process on the credit card processing side and how awesome that new just seamless, you know, electronic onboarding process is. We'll be doing the same thing with these documents as well. So these will be some of the next ones that will go on. So before the end of the year, this whole thing will be electronic and be done through that process, where you'll be able to just get a you know, DocuSign, and it'll flow through that same process. One place to go to get all the applications. But as you can see, there's not a lot required. We start over here on the left. You know, obviously federal identification, you know, FEIN, you know, proof. It's not necessarily required. But if you can get it. If you don't have it and they say, here's my number, great. Sometimes people are off on those numbers, those sort of things. Bank proof, like a voided check, we're all used to that. Bank statement, those sort of things are available. Can't take starter checks, voided checks, that sort of stuff. If they need a signature form for us to be able to sign off on checks for them, then that's there. But if they're going to do all direct deposit, not needed. And then we're just talking about your quarterly or current quarter reports. And this is, you know, a little bit of a, you know, maybe education for those that haven't sold a lot of payroll, but when a payroll provider starts processing for somebody in the middle of the year, they then take all the information from their previous processing, the previous, you know, payroll processing, whether it be something I was doing myself in QuickBooks or I was doing with, paychecks before, or whoever it may be, takes all that information and we create then employees inside their new ADP portal, and it has all of that previous information. So the reason being is so that you're accurately reporting on the end of the year numbers. There's one instead of you getting a W-2 from your QuickBooks and a W-2 from ADP, you're getting one W-2 at the end of the year. If it's mid-quarter, whoever is the responsible party, whoever is the payroll provider at the end of the quarter is the one who is filing the quarterly reports, with the IRS, those sort of things. So getting those, if you switch mid-quarter, that's when then you need to get, the payroll reports that show, hey, here's everything that's happened so far this quarter, and then prior quarter reports. So let's say, for instance, you were going to switch somebody today. You would need, first quarter reports. You don't need one for every payroll in that quarter because the quarterly reports are going to show you need the first quarter report, second quarter report, and third quarter report, which are created at the end of each quarter, obviously. And then the fourth quarter, you need just whatever payrolls they'd already ran so far here in October. So that would then show all the earnings, all the information, all the deductions, so then we could input it into the system and make sure that, okay, this is ready to go, and the person's then going to have the correct W-2 information at the end of the year. We can't take just, hey, here you go, here's a spreadsheet of what I've been doing. It's got to be the payroll reports to show what has been done so that it can be done correctly. Obviously, we're talking about taxes and people's pay here. It's critical that it's extremely accurate. So, which is why you'll hear a lot of people talk about, this is payroll selling season. You'll hear a lot of people say that I'm surprised I haven't heard it yet on the call, but this is payroll selling season. The reason why is because selling payroll with a January 1 start date is awesome, because then you don't have to gather any quarterly stuff, because there is no active quarters. The quarters ended. The last company already issued their W-2s. And January 1's a great date to, this kind of starts fresh and everything starts from there. You don't have to gather any quarterly reports. So that's when you hear people talk about, hey, it's payroll selling season. That's why. The downside for it is if you sell somebody today and you say, okay, we'll start January 1, there's not going to be revenue until January. So you've got a delay there, but it can sometimes make conversion, a lot easier for sure. That's really it for your standard merchants. Really, this stuff on the left is your standard. You get on the right, and this is where you get into some of the weird stuff. 943, 944 stuff. That's for agricultural employees, things like that. You get some of these detailed stuff that comes over here, but this isn't stuff that is we're going to be dealing with very often. If there are some specific things that are needed for that specific state, then we'll reach out and say, hey, we need something specific here. We can reach out to you, we reach out directly to the merchant, whichever you want. So all this, again, we're going to be, pay compassifying these documents, but I wanted to show them to you so you know kind of what it is and really the simpleness of that. Any quick questions on that before I jump into the next thing?
Yeah, they're going to handle the employees with the 9 series socials that don't have a real valid social security number.
What do you mean by handle them?
Pay them. Will they accept them?
Well, it's got to be a valid, it's got to be, they'll accept I-10s, they'll accept social security numbers.
Well, there's a lot of times you have like migrant workers that, that have a working social, but it's not, it starts with a 9.
Mm-hmm.
And they always come back and say, well, this is not a kosher number. We'll accept it for now. But the IRS gives you to the end of the year for that employee to fix it.
Okay. I would say in that situation, they would probably follow on those same parameters than saying, if the IRS says you have to do it until the end of the year to fix it, then we would probably follow along those same guidelines.
No, companies don't do that. Where we came from, we had a tremendously hard time getting. Well, they wouldn't do it. Beyond would never do that.
Okay, I'll double check that. That's a weird one. I'll look into that and see. We'll look into that one, find out.
I think he is talking about the ITIN numbers because they all start with the number 9.
If it's ITIN numbers, then you're fine. I mean, people can be employed with ITIN numbers for their entire life. So if they're ITIN numbers, you're fine. There's nothing wrong with an ITIN number. If as long as it's a legally, as long as it's obviously they're correct and legal ITIN number, then there's nothing wrong with that. But if it's a social security number and it's the wrong social security number, then obviously that's wrong. But if it's an ITIN number, there's nothing illegal or wrong. People work their entire lives legally. They're legal residents of the United States. They're just not citizens, and they operate under the ITIN number. All right, so this is again another document that we'll send out. That's we're going to streamline this and create this into electronic filings. If people have all the reports available, they can just send to us. Easy peasy. We don't need this. But if somebody is brand new, just starting off, this allows us just to it's a nice spreadsheet that allows us to gather all the information so they can. This is usually for somebody who's got a handful of employees. Maybe they've been paying them themselves, or they're just getting ready to start paying. This is something that allows you to gather it all in one simple place. So I just want to show that real quick. Last but not least, I'm going to dive into pricing, which obviously I know everybody wants to talk about. So we're gonna run through this real quick, talk about the pricing schedule. Again, this is not going to be recorded, so but the pricing schedule here will be sent out before the day is over. The way the payroll price works, we're trying to keep it very simple. You have buy rates no differently than you have with your credit card processing. Everything over that buy rate, you will get your standard revenue share above that. So it'll be paid out once a month, just like we do with the credit card processing residuals. And as we build out the residual reporting in Navigo, which is our version of Iris, those reports will be there available. So it'll be another version of the residuals you'll be able to see. So let's talk about the first one. First is your payroll with tax filing or HR. These first two here, pretty standard stuff. You got one-time setup fee on your standard payroll of $100. If you're looking to do, if they're looking to have HR built onto that as well, it's $225 one-time setup fee. So that's per client, not per employee, per client, one time. It covers all the onboarding of the clients, everything, getting it all set up. And just so you know, the tax filings, we kind of show it down here later, but tax filings are included. There's no additional cost for the tax filing. So there's a lot of companies charge for the quarterly reports, charge for that. There is no cost here at all on that. The only difference between these two that you see here is literally the HR. So if the person is wanting to have the HR, which allows them to have the ongoing employee handbook updates, the on-call person to be able to call and say, hey, I need help with this situation. What do I do? What's the law say? What's my handbook say? That sort of thing. It gives them all that functionality. So the difference being, you can see right here, is really the only difference is $100 setup fee on the payroll. With the HR is $225, and then the base fee on the standard payroll is $65 a month. Base fee on the HR is $110 a month. Outside of that, everything else is, well, the white glove, I guess, a little more, but we'll talk about that too. So on top of the base fee, that is $5 per month for each paid employee. Now, I want to talk about that. That's not per payroll period. That's $5 per month. So if you have somebody who's paying weekly and they're getting 4 paychecks, it's still $5 per month for that employee. So that is not a per paycheck cost. That is a per month cost for that employee. So really, when you think about it, it's $65 a month base fee, and then $5 for each employee added on top of that. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. We try to really make this as simple as possible. The white glove service, as you see here, This is if the, we've had a lot of requests for this, and I was a little shocked, but it seemed to have come up quite a bit, is people that just don't want to deal with inputting their numbers at all. They just want to say, hey, I've got these 5 employees. I'm going to send you a text or an email. I will take a text as well, as long as it's in writing. Here's my Excel spreadsheet. Here's my printout for my point of sale. Here's just an email that says, Johnny had 14 hours, Susie had 52 hours, whatever it is. And then we actually here in the Pay Compass office, we log in and enter all those in for them, verify them. In addition, we'll track who's on that white glove service and remind them prior to their due date. So, if we need to have it entered by, Wednesday to make sure that they hit their pay period they want, we're gonna start reaching out to them ahead of time. Like, hey, you normally send this on Tuesdays, but didn't get it from you, just a reminder. So we will really make sure that we're helping them through the process. As they have new employees, they'll be able to send that to us and we will enter all those new employees in. So really the goal of the white glove service is to allow them to kind of take a hands-off approach, just run their business, do what they're doing. It's usually for people that are just too busy to take the time to do it. They're willing to pay the $100 a month and just say, hey, here's my new hire. Can you get this entered in for me and take it from there. Annual W-2, 1099 creation, pretty standard stuff there. $95 one-time fee, that's annual. That's just at the end of the year, the $3 per item, which is very reasonable. If there are reprints that are needed, that includes the delivery. So that includes the mailing of all of those W-2s to the employer. Then the W-2 1099 reprints is if you have individual ones that need to be reprinted after the fact, somebody lost it or what have you. So really the only difference between these top 2 guys, payroll tax filing, and HR is that setup fee, the base fee, and then the white glove service is a little bit more here because there's a little more hand holding on the HR side of it. But outside of that, W-2 is the same, $5 per employee per month. That PEPM price stays the same there. Now, again, remember is that as we do with everything at Pay Compass, it's all about flexibility, right? So you price this however you want to. You don't have to price it this way. If you want to say, you know what, guys, I'm gonna give you free W-2s. Well, that's fine. We're gonna still, we're going to bill your portfolio, quote unquote, for the costs that are on here, and then we're gonna give you credit for whatever the revenue is, and then you're gonna get your percentage split of whatever the difference is between the two. However you want that merchant to be priced, however you want them to be billed, you'll simply indicate that to us on the application form, and then we'll bill them according to that. We are going to then bill your portfolio, for the costs that are listed on here, but that doesn't mean you have costs that way. So, like, give me an example. I mean, you could say to a customer, okay, you have, let's say you're selling payroll tax file. Instead of telling them it's $65 a month and $5 per employee, you say, hey, it's $100 flat fee. That's it is. We'll take care of everything for you. And they have 3 employees. Well, that would, we don't have that exact cost on here, but that's what you tell us to do. We're charging them $100 a month, and then we're going to give you credit for the difference between the $100 a month and if they had 3 employees, the $80 in cost, which for 65 and the 5. So you price it, you present it however you want to. You don't have to price it and price the merchant every single line item here. You have that flexibility to do it how you want. No differently than you could eat authorization fees if you want to. You can eat monthly fees on the credit card process, same sort of thing. You can do the same here if you want to. And then these are just some of the additional kind of other fees. A lot of times don't apply to most people, but like I said before, tax reporting and submission is included. There's no additional cost for that. A lot of companies, most companies charge a quarterly fee for that. We do not. If there are some additional taxation jurisdictions, for instance, some places have local tax jurisdictions, or the person might operate in multiple states, then we do have to charge a fee for that. It's $15 a month for each additional jurisdiction. If the person wants paper checks, we can do it, no problem, including printing and mailing all to one location, $25. So pretty inexpensive there. We print them all up, send them over, you hand them out if you want to. Labor law poster compliance. This is something that is really every person should do. It's a law, federal law, that you have to have those labor law posters up. Set up $75 for the first time, which includes your one set of posters. And then if the person wants to sign up for the maintenance program, it's $8 per month. And every time there's new compliance posters or changes to the compliance posters, new ones are sent out to them. That's a pretty popular one that a lot of people sign up for. If they want to enroll, we'll talk about deeper into some of these later on, but the pay-by-pay premium plan for workers' comp, instead of having the huge adjustments and audits at the end of the year, you pay as you go for the workers' comp. So, that huge adjustment at the end of the year, that's what this allows them to do. It's not the workers' compensation insurance, but allows them to have the connectivity so that they can feed over the dollars and allow them to see what the payroll was and take the applicable workers' compensation dollars. And then we get into some of the NSF fees, wire fees, things like that. They just stop payment. There's costs for all that sort of stuff. This is an important one, I think, at the bottom, because we do get these every once in a while. If the merchant is still in applied for status, meaning they don't have their federal ID number, they're still waiting on it, there is a cost associated with that. That's not typical, but it does happen sometimes. So, make sure you're obviously aware of that. And then the second page of this is just a nice little cheat sheet we created to allow you to, really look at this quickly and come up with a price. So you just come down here, number of employees. They have 9 employees. The standard payroll is going to cost them $110, or your cost on it's $110. And then the payroll and HR would be $155 a month. So again, this is monthly cost. And there are plans available. You'll see up here that says weekly, bi-weekly, or semi-monthly. There are plans available for those that do quarterly pay or annual pay. I didn't put that on here. We can definitely go over that if it's needed. I've never run into that personally, but if it's something we start having, we'll add it to the list here and make sure that you have the correct price. All right, holy cow, I can't lose almost an hour. Geez, a piece. All right, well, lots of stuff here to share, obviously, but I want to open it up for questions. Does anyone have any questions that are burning a hole in their pocket?
Hey, Justin. Yeah, I have 2 questions, actually. Number one is, are we going to have access to any kind of proposal generator or template to quote these prices? And then number 2, will our current referral partners receive their agreed upon residual percentage for payroll referrals as well, just like card?
The answer is yes and yes. So yes, we will have access to it. We're actually working on that, getting that white labeled and pulled out of the ADP portal, so you have it available to you. So you will have a proposal template that you'll be able to build it all out. Absolutely. ADP has a tremendous payroll proposal generator. We're just making sure that we've got it created in the right way for us with our correct pricing in there. And then number 2, it'll be a choice for you. But I would recommend, obviously, if we're going to, have referrals coming from referral partners and they're referring us payroll, that they get cut in at the exact same rate as you have here too.
Great, thanks.
So, again, that'll be your choice. We'll make sure that.
Hello.
Wayne, you had a quick question on the garnishments. Garnishments are treated as an additional employee pay. You know what I mean? So because there's an additional processing of payment going out, so it would just be like an additional employee. All right. Any other questions?
Yes, Justin, in the past, one of the things we've used selling against ADP was their annual price increases. How's this going to look now with us selling this product?
I mean, I think that's, this is our pricing, our agreed upon pricing with them. I don't want to sit here and say that the price is never going to go up, no differently than, sometimes on everything, our prices have gone up over time. So I don't want to say never, but I don't anticipate there's enough. There was a pretty hard negotiation on that front to make sure that we're not seeing these regular annual price increases that I don't think we're going to be seeing them. And if we are, again, that doesn't mean that this is us, right? So just because we get a price increase doesn't mean we pass along the price increase to our customers as well. So we are being billed by ADP. The customer's not being billed by ADP. So if ADP decided, hey, we're going to raise rates, then they're raising rates to us. That doesn't necessarily raise rates to our customers. So I don't want to sit here and say it'll never happen, but I don't anticipate it happening anytime soon.
Awesome.
All right. I'd love to hear feedback, and we don't necessarily need to do it now, but I'd love to hear feedback from those, who have been around and sold payroll pretty heavily, how they feel about the pricing and the structure of all this. We're going to get deeper into this in a couple weeks. We're actually have some of our ADP experts on the phone who are going to start diving deeper into some of the product offerings, like the tax credits and the HR and that sort of stuff. But today was just meant to be kind of that large level overview. So if anyone wants to share, I'd love to hear it now, or feel free to call me, text me, email me, or whatever with your feedback.
What about 401ks? They going to do that too?
Absolutely, sir. Yes, sir. All available. All right. Well, for all of you that have been asking, when we're going to roll it out, here we go. It's here. We will be sending out more information by the end of the day with some of this pricing and application documents. But again, if you have somebody that is hot shot and you need help now, let's get it done. Reach out to me. Obviously, same team that supports you now on the sales side of it. Chris being the quarterback on that, along with myself and Rob and Mike and Sean will be there to help you through the process on this until we do get our full-time payroll expert on board. But should be pretty straightforward and should be pretty easy. We've got some great support behind us. So any last questions or comments? Awesome. Well,
I'm sure you said it already, but setup docs?
yeah, there's an application. We'll be sending out.
Okay. And,
Yep.
and those are ready today?
Yeah, it'll be out before the end of the day. You'll have an application and this pricing as well in your
Okay.
inbox.
Super. Thank you.
No problem. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for joining the call. Hopefully it was a good and valuable one, and we'll chat with everybody soon.